Admiral Park Jinwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes that had seen too many battles. Behind him, his crew worked quietly, at their stations, preparing for what might be their final mission. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth Command," said Captain Lee Suman, his second-in-command. She was younger than Jinwoo, but her tactical skills were legendary throughout the fleet. Her short black hair was perfectly neat, and her uniform was spotless as always. "Put it through, Captain," Jinwoo replied. The holographic display flickered to life, showing Admiral Chen from Earth Command. His face was grim. "Jinwoo, I'm sure you've heard about the Confederation's ultimatum by now." "Yes, sir. 30 days to abandon all our colonies beyond the Sol system," Jinwoo said. "It's an impossible demand." "The Council thinks we're just another small species they can push around," Chen continued. "They don't understand what humans are capable of when cornered. Your orders are simple. Take the 9th Fleet to Kepler 442 and hold the line. Show them that humanity doesn't back down from threats." Jinwoo nodded. "Understood, sir. The 9th Fleet will not disappoint." After the transmission ended, Captain Lee Suman approached him. "Admiral, the crew is ready. All 847 ships are prepared for immediate departure." Dr. Kim Hyunwoo, the fleet's chief scientist, looked up from his research station. He was a thin man who always seemed to be thinking about something complex. "Admiral, I've been studying the Confederation's military records. They haven't fought a real war in over 300 years. They've grown soft." "Don't underestimate them, Doctor," warned Commander Choi Minji, the fleet's intelligence chief. She had spent years studying alien military tactics. "The Velthari Empire alone has over 2,000 ships. When you add their allies, we're looking at overwhelming numbers." Jinwoo walked to the tactical display showing their destination. Kepler 442 was a system with 3 human colonies and important mining operations. It was also perfectly positioned to control trade routes to the Outer Rim territories. "The Confederation thinks this is about territory," Jinwoo said to his senior officers. "They're wrong. This is about respect. For 3 centuries, humanity has tried to be good neighbors. We've followed their rules, paid their taxes, and asked for nothing but the right to exist among the stars." Captain Lee pulled up intelligence reports on her tablet. "The Velthari have been planning this for years. They see human expansion as a threat to their dominance. Our colonies are too successful, our technology too advanced, our people too independent." "They made one critical mistake," Commander Choi added. "They assume we'll fight like they do. Big fleets, traditional tactics, predictable strategies." Dr. Kim smiled slightly. "They have no idea what engineer Oh Sung-min has been working on in the research labs." Jinwoo had seen the classified reports about Oh's project. Even he didn't fully understand the technology, but he knew it could change everything. "Doctor, is the system ready for deployment?" "The quantum displacement matrix is installed on every ship in the fleet," Kim confirmed. "Oh's team has run thousands of simulations. It should work perfectly." The next few weeks passed quickly as the 9th Fleet traveled to Kepler 442. During the journey, Jinwoo met with his ship captains daily. Each one was hand-picked for this mission. They were the best humanity had to offer. Lieutenant Commander Han Dong-yuk commanded the fighter squadrons. He was young but fearless, with reflexes that made him nearly impossible to shoot down. "Admiral, my pilots are ready for anything. We've been training with the new phase-shift fighters. Vice Admiral Nam Jasu managed the fleet's logistics. She was brilliant at keeping thousands of ships supplied and coordinated." Sir, we have enough supplies for 6 months of combat operations. The supply ships are hidden in the asteroid belt, ready to support us. As they approached Kepler 442, long-range sensors detected massive Confederation fleets moving toward them. The enemy had assembled the largest military force in centuries. Nearly 4,000 ships from 6 different species, all united in their desire to put humanity in its place. They're not taking any chances, Captain Lee observed, studying the sensor readings. 3 full battle fleets plus support vessels. They want to make an example of us. Jinwoo gathered his senior staff for a final briefing. In a few hours, we'll face the largest space fleet ever assembled. The enemy expects us to either surrender or fight a traditional battle we cannot win. They're about to learn that humans don't think like other species. Dr. Kim activated a holographic display showing the fleet's battle plan. Phase 1 involves conventional tactics. We need to make them think they understand our capabilities. Hit-and-run attacks, defensive formations, standard human naval doctrine. Phase 2 begins when they commit their full force, Commander Choi continued. That's when we activate O's system and disappear from normal space-time. What about the colonies? Asked Han Dong-hyuk. We can't just abandon the civilians. The colonists have been evacuated to hidden shelters, Captain Lee explained. Special phase shift bunkers that exist in dimensional space. They'll be safe until we return. Jinwoo looked at each of his officers. The Confederation thinks they're about to witness humanity's destruction. Instead, they're about to see the birth of a new era. An era where no species can dominate others through military might alone. The Indomitable shuddered slightly as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewing window, Kepler 442's yellow star shone brightly. This ordinary system was about to become the site of the most important battle in galactic history. All ships report ready, Admiral, Captain Lee announced. Take us to battle stations, Jinwoo ordered. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's future. As alarms sounded throughout the fleet, Jinwoo thought about the message he would soon broadcast to the approaching Confederation forces. It would be simple and direct. Humanity would not yield, would not retreat, and would not be intimidated. The enemy was about to learn that humans had one quality that made them dangerous beyond their technology or tactics. When pushed to the edge, humans didn't break. They evolved. The Ninth Fleet moved into formation, ready to face impossible odds. Behind them lay humanity's future among the stars. Ahead lay the greatest challenge their species had ever faced. Jinwoo smiled grimly. The Confederation had no idea what they had started. Ambassador Yoon Tae-hyung sat in the Confederation Council chambers on the capital world of Veltar Prime. Around him, representatives from dozens of species debated humanity's fate. The Velthari delegates spoke in their melodic language, their blue skin shimmering under the chamber's lights. The humans have had 30 days to comply, announced Council Leader Zethmar, his 4 arms gesturing dramatically. Their failure to withdraw from contested territories leaves us no choice but to use force. Yoon stood carefully. He was an older man with kind eyes, but those who knew him understood that his gentle appearance hid a sharp mind. Honored Council. Leader, Earth requests additional time to consider your terms. Our colonies represent the homes of millions of people. Such a massive relocation cannot happen overnight. The time for discussion is over, declared General Vexhai of the Threnody Alliance. Her insect-like features showed no emotion. 3 of our fleets are already moving to enforce the Council's decision. Yoon bowed respectfully, but his mind was racing. He had been secretly communicating with Admiral Park Jin-woo throughout the negotiations. Every day he delayed gave the Ninth Fleet more time to prepare their defense. Meanwhile, at Kepler 442, Captain Lee Suman studied intelligence reports in her quarters aboard the Indomitable. The data painted a terrifying picture. The approaching Confederation forces included the Velthari Empire's first battle fleet, the Threnody war swarm, and the heavily armed ships of the Caraxian Navy. Nearly 4,000 ships, she whispered to herself. They're not planning to accept our surrender. They want to destroy us completely. She activated her secure communicator and contacted her intelligence network. Agent Park Min-ho, operating deep in Velthari space, appeared on the screen. He looked nervous. "Captain, I've discovered something important," Min-ho said quietly. "This ultimatum isn't about territory. The Velthari have been planning to eliminate humanity for decades. They see us as a threat to their control of the galaxy." "What kind of threat?" Lee asked. "Our technology advances too quickly. Our colonies are too successful. Our military tactics are too unpredictable. The Velthari fear that if humans continue to grow, we'll eventually challenge their dominance." Lee felt her blood run cold. So, this was always going to happen, regardless of what we did. "Yes, Captain. They want to make an example of humanity. Show other species what happens when you become too independent." After ending the communication, Lee hurried to the bridge. Admiral Jin-woo was studying tactical displays with his senior officers. Lieutenant Commander Han Dong-yuk had just returned from a reconnaissance mission. "Admiral, I've scouted their forward positions," Han reported. 3 massive fleets moving in perfect formation. They're not trying to hide their numbers. They want us to see how overwhelming their force is. Vice Admiral Nam Jisoo pointed to supply line reports. "Sir, their logistics are impressive but predictable. Traditional formation, standard supply routes, textbook military doctrine." "They're fighting the last war," observed Dr. Kim Hyun-woo from his science station. "Everything they know about space combat comes from conflicts centuries ago." Admiral Jin-woo nodded thoughtfully. "Captain Lee, what did your intelligence contacts discover?" Lee shared Agent Min-ho's findings. The bridge fell silent as the implications became clear. This wasn't just about colonies or territory. The Confederation intended to destroy humanity as a free species. "Then we have no choice," Jin-woo said quietly. "Commander Choi, is the quantum displacement matrix fully operational on all ships?" Commander Choi Minji checked her systems. "Yes, Admiral. Engineer Oh Sung-min's final tests were successful. Every ship in the fleet can phase shift on your command." "And the colonists?" "All civilians have been moved to the dimensional shelters," Vice Admiral Nam confirmed. "They have supplies for months and are completely hidden from normal space-time sensors." Jin-woo walked to the viewing window. In the distance, he could see the first Confederation scout ships appearing at the edge of the system. Soon, the largest space fleet in galactic history would arrive. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. Captain Lee activated the fleet communication system. "All vessels, this is Admiral Park Jin-woo speaking." Throughout the Ninth Fleet, crews stopped their work to listen. On 847 ships, humanity's finest, warriors waited for their leader's words. "In a few hours, we face an enemy that outnumbers us 5-1, Jin-woo began. "They believe they understand human capabilities. They believe they can predict our tactics. They believe this battle will end with humanity's submission or destruction." He paused, looking out at the stars where his fleet waited. "They are wrong. Today, we don't just fight for our colonies or our territory. We fight for the right of all species to determine their own destiny. We fight against those who would use overwhelming force to crush independence and freedom. On the bridge, his officers watched their admiral with pride. This was why they followed him. Not just because of his tactical brilliance, but because he understood what they were really fighting for. When the battle begins, follow your orders exactly, Jinwoo continued. Fight with conventional tactics until I give the signal. Let them think they understand us. Let them believe they're winning. Dr. Kim smiled slightly. He knew what was coming next. But when I give the command, we will show the galaxy something it has never seen before. We will demonstrate that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our ships. It's our refusal to accept defeat. Lieutenant Commander Han checked his fighter squadrons one final time. His pilots were ready for the most dangerous mission in human history. Remember, Jinwoo concluded, we are the 9th Fleet. We are humanity's sword and shield among the stars. Today, we make history. As the communication ended, long-range sensors detected the main Confederation force entering the system. The enemy came in 3 massive waves, their ships blotting out the stars. It was a sight designed to break the spirit of any opposing force. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Confederation fleet, Captain Lee reported. Put it through. The holographic display showed a Velthari commander with elaborate ceremonial armor. His expression was arrogant and dismissive. Human Admiral, I am Fleet Commander Kethvar of the Velthari Empire. You have one final opportunity to surrender. Order your ships to power down their weapons and prepare for boarding. Jinwoo stepped forward, his expression calm but determined. Fleet Commander, I am Admiral Park Jinwoo of Earth's 9th Fleet. Humanity stands here. We will not yield. We will not retreat. Test us at your peril. Kethvar's 4 eyes showed amusement. Very well, Admiral. Your species has chosen extinction over wisdom. So be it. The transmission ended. Throughout the Confederation fleet, weapons powered up and shields activated. Nearly 4,000 ships prepared to destroy the small human force that dared to defy them. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Jinwoo turned to his crew. All ships, battle stations, engage the enemy. The greatest space battle in galactic history was about to begin, but the Confederation had no idea they were about to witness something that would change the galaxy forever. The first shots of the battle lit up the darkness of space like deadly fireworks. Admiral Park Jinwoo watched from the bridge of the Indomitable as hundreds of energy beams crossed the void between the 2 fleets. The Confederation forces attacked. In perfect formation, their massive ships advancing like an unstoppable wall of metal and fire. Evasive maneuvers, all ships, Captain Lee Suman ordered into her communicator. Execute pattern Delta 7. The 9th Fleet scattered like leaves in the wind. Human ships were smaller and faster than the massive Confederation vessels, and they used this advantage well. They darted between enemy formations, striking quickly before disappearing behind asteroids and debris. Lieutenant Commander Han Dong-hyuk led his fighter squadrons in daring attacks on the enemy's heavy cruisers. His small ships moved like angry hornets, too fast for the larger vessels to target effectively. Direct hit on the Velthari flagship, Han reported over the radio. Their shields are down to 60%. Good work, Admiral Jinwoo replied. Continue hit-and-run tactics. Don't get caught in a direct fight. For 6 hours, the battle continued this way. The 9th Fleet fought brilliantly, using speed and cunning to avoid the enemy's overwhelming firepower. They struck at weak points, destroyed supply ships, and confused the Confederation commanders with unpredictable movements. but Admiral Jinwoo knew they couldn't keep this up forever. His ships were taking damage, and the enemy was slowly adapting to human tactics. More importantly, the battle needed to look like a conventional fight for his real plan to work. Engineer Oh Sung-min worked frantically at his control station. He was a small man with thick glasses who always seemed nervous, but his mind was brilliant. For years he had been developing technology that most people thought was impossible. "Admiral, the quantum displacement matrix is ready," Oh reported. All ships show green lights on their phase shift systems. Dr. Kim Hyun-woo monitored the energy readings from his science station. "The dimensional barriers are stable. We can maintain phase shift for several months if necessary." Rear Admiral Kang Woo-jin commanded the experimental division of the fleet. His ships carried the most advanced versions of Oh's technology. "Sir, my vessels are ready to lead the transition. The other ships will follow our signal." Admiral Jinwoo studied the tactical display. The Confederation forces were finally committing their reserves. Nearly 4,000 enemy ships were now fully engaged in the battle. This was the moment he had been waiting for. "Captain Lee, send the coded signal to all human colonies in the sector," he ordered. "Signal sent, Admiral," Lee confirmed. "All civilians are now in the dimensional shelters." Medical officer Dr. Bae Yoonji recorded everything that happened from her station in the medical bay. She was a careful woman who understood the historical importance of these events. Her records would be crucial for understanding what came next. "All ships, this is Admiral Jinwoo," he announced to the fleet. "Execute Operation Ghost Protocol. Activate phase shift on my mark." Throughout the Ninth Fleet, crews prepared for something that had never been attempted in the history of space warfare. The quantum displacement matrix would move their entire fleet into a parallel dimension, making them invisible to normal space-time sensors. Fleet Commander Kethvar of the Velthari Empire watched the battle from his flagship with growing confidence. The human resistance was weakening. Soon, this annoying species would be eliminated forever. "Admiral, their formation is collapsing," reported his tactical officer. "The human ships are clustering together. They appear to be preparing for a final, desperate attack." "Perfect," Kethvar said with satisfaction. "All ships, concentrate fire on the human formation. Destroy them all at once." The massive Confederation fleet turned its weapons toward the center of the human formation. Energy cannons charged to full power. Missile launchers prepared to fire thousands of projectiles. In moments, the space where the Ninth Fleet gathered would become a burning graveyard. On the Indomitable, Engineer Oh's hands moved quickly over his controls. Every calculation had to be perfect. One mistake would scatter the human fleet across multiple dimensions, lost forever. Phase shift generators. "At maximum power," Oh announced. "Dimensional barriers are aligned. All ships ready for transition." Admiral Jinwoo took one last look at the enemy fleet through the viewing window. Thousands of alien ships prepared to destroy everything he held dear. But they were about to learn that humans always had one more surprise. "Execute phase shift. Now, engineer." Oh pressed the activation button. For a single instant, space around the Ninth Fleet shimmered like water. Reality seemed to bend and twist as 847 human ships activated their quantum displacement matrix systems simultaneously. Then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. Fleet Commander Kethvar stared at his tactical display in shock. Where moments before nearly 1,000 human ships had been fighting desperately, now there was only empty space. His sensors showed nothing. No ships, no debris, no energy signatures. "What happened?" he demanded. Where are the humans? His tactical officer ran diagnostic after diagnostic. Sir, our sensors show no trace of the enemy fleet. They've disappeared. Ships don't just disappear, Kethvar shouted. Scan for cloaking devices, stealth technology, anything. But the scans revealed nothing. The human fleet had vanished, so completely that it was as if they had never existed. Even their radio communications had cut off mid-sentence. Across the Confederation fleet, similar scenes played out. Thousands of alien warriors stared at empty space where their enemies had been moments before. Some thought their sensors were malfunctioning. Others believed they had witnessed some kind of impossible technology. On the hidden world of Veltar Prime, Ambassador Yoon Tai-hyung received a coded message on his secret communicator. It contained only 2 words: Ghost Protocol. He smiled, quietly, and deleted the message. The first phase of humanity's plan was complete. Dr. Bai Yunji, now existing in dimensional space aboard the Indomitable, continued her recordings. Personal log, Day 1 of phase shift operations. The Ninth Fleet has successfully transitioned to parallel dimensional space. We exist alongside normal space-time but remain completely undetectable. She looked out a viewing port that showed a strange, misty version of the Kepler 442 system. The enemy believes we have been destroyed. They have no idea we're still here, watching everything they do. In normal space, Fleet Commander Kethvar struggled to understand what had happened. His massive fleet had been prepared to destroy the humans in a single devastating attack. Instead, they found themselves firing at empty space. "Send a message to the Council," he ordered reluctantly. "Report that the human fleet has been eliminated." But as his ships searched the battlefield for any trace of their enemies, Kethvar felt uneasy. In his long military career, he had never seen anything like this. Ships did not simply vanish without leaving some evidence of their destruction. He did not know that 847 human ships now existed in a dimension parallel to his own. He could not see Admiral Jinwoo's fleet preparing for the next phase of their plan. He had no idea that humanity's greatest advantage was not their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to think in ways that other species never imagined possible. The Confederation forces began occupying the Kepler 442 system, believing they had won a great victory. They had no idea that their real war with humanity was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Ninth Fleet vanished at Kepler 442. Throughout the galaxy, the Confederation celebrated their great victory over humanity. The Velthari Empire erected monuments to commemorate the battle where human expansion was finally stopped. On Veltar Prime, Council Leader Zethmar addressed representatives from dozens of species. His 4 arms spread wide as he spoke to the gathered delegates. "The human threat has been eliminated," he announced proudly. "Their most powerful fleet was destroyed so completely that not even debris remained. This demonstrates what happens when lesser species challenge the established order." In the audience, Ambassador Yoon Tai-hyung sat quietly, his face showing appropriate sadness for his species' supposed defeat. Inside, however, he struggled not to smile. If only these arrogant aliens knew the truth. The Confederation had wasted no time claiming human colonies. Velthari forces occupied the mining worlds of the Outer Rim. Threnody swarms took control of the agricultural planets. Every world that humans had worked so hard to build was now under alien control. But strange reports began filtering in from across the galaxy. Captain Vexahai of the Threnody Alliance reviewed security reports in her command center. Her insect-like features showed confusion as she read the latest incidents. "Commander, explain these disappearances," she ordered her subordinate. "Ma'am, in the past month, 17 supply convoys have vanished without sending distress signals," the officer reported. "The ships simply stop responding to communications. When we send scouts to investigate, we find nothing." "Pirates?" "No, ma'am. Pirates leave debris, take cargo, or demand ransom. These ships have simply disappeared." Similar reports came from across Confederation space. Admiral Corex of the Velthari Navy stood before a holographic map showing dozens of mysterious incidents. "Show me the pattern," he demanded. Red dots appeared across the star map, marking locations where ships had vanished. There seemed to be no connection between the incidents. Military patrols, civilian transports, even heavily armed cruisers had disappeared without explanation. "Sir, there's something else," his intelligence officer reported nervously. "The Crimson Raiders pirate fleet that terrorized the Centauri trade routes for years was found yesterday." "Found?" Their ships were discovered drifting in space, completely intact but empty. No crew, no signs of struggle, no indication of what happened to the pirates. On the research station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Dr. Kim Hyun-woo existed in dimensional space aboard the science vessel Discovery. He had been conducting experiments on cross-dimensional communication for months. "Admiral, I've successfully established a secure communication link with Earth," Kim reported to Admiral Jinwoo. The holographic image of Admiral Jinwoo appeared in the laboratory. Behind him, Kim could see the bridge of the Indomitable, still operating in parallel dimensional space. "Excellent work, Doctor. What's the status of your research?" "We can now send coded messages to Earth without the Confederation detecting them," Kim explained. "I've also been monitoring their communications. They're getting nervous about the disappearances." "Good. It's time to move to the next phase. How are our operations proceeding?" Captain Lee Suman's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, our strike teams have been very successful. We've eliminated 12 major pirate organizations and disrupted Confederation supply lines across 6 sectors. The Ninth Fleet had spent 6 months learning to operate in dimensional space. They could appear anywhere in normal space-time, strike their targets, and disappear again before anyone could respond. To their enemies, they had become ghosts." Lieutenant Commander Han Dong-hyuk led raids on remote military outposts. His fighters would phase into normal space, disable the stations, communications, and vanish again within minutes. The Confederation forces never saw what hit them. "The psychological effect is working perfectly," reported Commander Choi Minji from her intelligence station. "Confederation military morale is dropping. They're starting to fear traveling alone through space." Dr. Bae Yoonji continued documenting everything that happened. Her medical bay had treated several injured crew members from these operations, but casualties remained surprisingly low. "Personal log, day 180 of phase shift operations," she recorded. "The crew's health remains excellent despite the stress of dimensional existence. More importantly, our operations are having the desired effect on enemy forces." On Earth, President Moon Jae-hye received Dr. Kim's coded transmissions in her private office. She was a strong woman who had led humanity through the crisis of the Confederation Ultimatum. Now, she coordinated the secret war effort. General Shin Min-hyuk, she called to her military advisor, "The Ninth Fleet reports successful completion of Operation Ghost Strike. They've eliminated the Caraxian battle group that was terrorizing human refugees." General Shin smiled grimly. He was an old soldier who understood the value of psychological warfare. "Madam President, our intelligence suggests the Confederation is starting to panic. They can't explain the disappearances." What about our hidden colonies? Captain Yang Seohyun has been making contact with resistance cells on occupied worlds. Our people are ready to fight when the time comes. Meanwhile, in Confederation space, Fleet Commander Kethvar studied reports that made no sense. His fleet had been patrolling former human territory for months, but strange incidents kept occurring. "Sir, another patrol has gone missing," his communications officer reported. The destroyer Velkaran was investigating mining operations in the asteroid belt. They stopped responding 3 hours ago. "Send a search squadron immediately," Kethvar ordered. The search squadron found the Velkaran drifting powerless between two large asteroids. The ship was intact, but its crew of 200 Velthari warriors had vanished without a trace. Security. Recordings showed them at their posts one moment, then empty corridors the next. "This is impossible," Kethvar muttered. "Ship's crews don't just disappear." His tactical officer reviewed the sensor logs. "Sir, there's something strange here. For exactly 30 seconds, our sensors detected unusual energy readings around the ship. Then everything returned to normal." "What kind of energy readings?" "Unknown, sir. Nothing in our database matches the signature. Across the galaxy, similar. Incidents multiplied." Confederation forces began traveling in larger groups, afraid to operate alone. Trade routes that had been safe for centuries became dangerous as merchant ships disappeared without explanation. The Velthari Council held emergency sessions to discuss the crisis. Council leader Zethmar addressed his worried colleagues. "We face an unknown threat," he admitted reluctantly. "Something is attacking our forces, but we cannot identify the enemy." "Could it be a new species?" asked a delegate from the Threnody Alliance. "Impossible. Our surveys have mapped every intelligent species in the galaxy. This is something else." What they didn't know was that Dr. Kim Hyun-woo had been monitoring their communications from dimensional space. Every word they spoke was being recorded and analyzed by human intelligence. "Admiral, they're completely confused," Kim reported to Jin-woo. "They have no idea we still exist. They think some new threat has emerged from unknown space." Admiral Jin-woo smiled with satisfaction. "Perfect. How many ships have we captured or destroyed?" "Over 400 enemy vessels eliminated, sir. We've also liberated equipment and supplies worth billions of credits. Our dimensional storage bays are full of captured Confederation technology." "And our own losses?" 3 ships damaged, no ships lost. "Minimal casualties," Captain Lee reported. "The enemy can't fight what they can't see." The Ninth Fleet had become legends among both human resistance fighters and Confederation forces. To humans, they were proof that their species would never surrender. To aliens, they were a mysterious terror that struck without warning. But Admiral Jin-woo knew this phase of the war was ending. Soon it would be time to reveal the truth to the galaxy. The Confederation needed to learn that humanity had not been destroyed at Kepler 442. They had evolved into something far more dangerous than anyone imagined. 1 year after the Battle of Kepler 442, Admiral Park Jin-woo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable in dimensional space, preparing for the most ambitious military operation in galactic history. Around him, his senior officers made final preparations for what they called Operation Thunderclap. "Admiral, all fleet commanders report ready," Captain Lee Suman announced. 847 ships are in position across 17 different star systems. Dr. Kim Hyun-woo worked at his science station, coordinating the complex dimensional calculations needed for simultaneous phase shifts across multiple sectors. "Sir, the quantum displacement networks are synchronized. We can strike all targets at exactly the same moment." The plan was audacious beyond imagination. The Ninth Fleet would reveal itself by attacking 17 major Confederation military installations simultaneously. The psychological impact would be devastating, but more importantly, it would cripple the alien alliance's ability to wage war. On Earth, President Moon Jae-hye coordinated with her military staff in the underground command center beneath Seoul. General Shin Min-hyuk showed her the latest intelligence reports. Madam President, Captain Yang Seo-yun has successfully contacted resistance. Cells on 43 occupied worlds, he reported. Our people are ready to rise up when the Ninth Fleet reveals itself. What about our secret shipyards? President Moon asked. Engineer Oh Sung-min's teams have been busy, the general smiled. We now have over 3,000 phase-capable ships. The Ninth Fleet was just the beginning. President Moon felt a surge of pride. While the galaxy thought humanity was defeated, her people had been building the most advanced space fleet in history. Every ship was equipped with dimensional phase shift, technology that made them virtually undetectable. In Confederation space, Fleet Commander Kethvar reviewed security reports with growing anxiety. The mysterious disappearances had continued for months, and his forces were becoming increasingly nervous. Sir, morale among the troops is at an all-time low, his second-in-command reported. Many crews refuse to patrol alone. They're calling the unknown enemy the Void Hunters. Superstitious nonsense, Kethvar replied, but even he felt uneasy. In his long military career, he had never faced an enemy he couldn't see or understand. Admiral Jinwoo checked the chronometer on his command console. In 30 minutes, the Ninth Fleet would emerge from dimensional space and announce to the galaxy that humanity lived. All ships, this is Admiral Jinwoo speaking, he broadcast to his scattered fleet. In a few minutes, we end our exile in dimensional space. Today, the galaxy learns that reports of humanity's death were greatly exaggerated. Lieutenant Commander Han Dong-yuk prepared his fighter squadrons for the largest coordinated strike in military history. His pilots had spent months training for this moment. Remember, we hit fast and hard, Han told his squadron leaders. Disable their weapons and communication systems, but avoid unnecessary casualties. We're not conquerors, we're liberators. Vice Admiral Namja-soo managed the logistics of the operation from her command ship. Coordinating attacks across 17 star systems required precise timing and perfect communication. All units report ready, Admiral, she announced. Supply lines are secure, and our dimensional storage holds are full of captured enemy equipment. Rear Admiral Kang Woo-jin commanded the experimental ships that would lead each attack. His vessels carried the most advanced versions of the phase shift technology. Sir, my ships are locked onto their targets, Kang reported. Velthari Navy Headquarters, Threnody Command Center, Coraxian Battle Station, all primary military installations are marked. Commander Choi Min-ji had spent months gathering intelligence on every target. She knew the defensive capabilities of each installation and had planned the attacks to minimize resistance. Admiral, enemy forces are following predictable patterns, she reported. They have no idea we're about to hit them. Dr. Bae Yoonji prepared her medical teams for potential casualties. Despite their technological advantages, she knew that no battle was without risk. Medical team standing by, she announced. All dimensional medical bays are ready to receive wounded. Admiral Jinwoo looked at the chronometer. 5 minutes until the operation began. He thought about the long journey that had brought them to this moment. A year ago, the galaxy thought humanity was finished. Today, they would learn the truth. All ships prepare for phase shift, he ordered. Target coordinates confirmed. Weapon systems ready. Execute Operation Thunderclap in 60 seconds. Across. 17 star systems, the most powerful military installations in Confederation space, continued their normal operations. Guards patrolled defensive perimeters. Technicians maintained weapon systems. Commanders reviewed routine reports. None of them knew they were about to witness the return of humanity's Ninth Fleet. Phase shift in 10 seconds, Dr. Kim announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, execute! Throughout the galaxy, space itself seemed to ripple as 847 human ships simultaneously emerged from dimensional space. At Velthari Navy headquarters, guards stared in shock as sleek human vessels appeared from nowhere, surrounding their massive space station. Fleet Commander Kethvar was reviewing reports on his flagship when alarms began screaming throughout the ship. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Sir, unidentified ships have appeared around the station," his tactical officer reported in a panicked voice. "They're human designs, but that's impossible. The human fleet was destroyed a year ago, on the bridge of the Indomitable." Admiral Jinwoo opened communications to all Confederation forces. His image appeared on screens across 17 star systems simultaneously. "Attention, Confederation forces. I am Admiral Park Jinwoo of Earth's Ninth Fleet. Rumors of our destruction have been greatly exaggerated. Throughout Confederation space, alien military personnel stared at their screens in disbelief. The human admiral they thought was dead stood before them, very much alive. For 1 year, you have occupied human colonies and celebrated our defeat," Jinwoo continued. "That ends today. We are not conquerors. We seek only the freedom to exist among the stars. But if you choose to continue this war, you will discover that humanity is far more dangerous than you imagined." At each target, human ships moved with precision and overwhelming force. They disabled communication arrays, destroyed weapon systems, and captured key installations without causing unnecessary casualties. Captain Lee Suman led the assault on the Threnody Command Center. Her ship surrounded the massive hive structure that controlled military operations across 6 sectors. "Threnody forces, power down your weapons and prepare for boarding," she announced. "Resistance is futile. You cannot fight an enemy, you cannot see." The Threnody commanders, faced with ships that had appeared from nowhere, had no choice but to surrender. Their insect-like minds could not comprehend technology that allowed travel through parallel dimensions. Lieutenant Commander Hans, fighters swarmed around the Caraxian battle station, their movements too fast for the aliens' weapons to track. "This is impossible," muttered the Caraxian station commander. "How are they moving through our defensive screens?" The answer was simple. Human ships could phase in and out of normal space-time at will, making them nearly invincible in combat. Within 3 hours, every major Confederation military installation in 17 star systems had fallen to human forces. The psychological impact was devastating. The Alien Alliance's military leadership was in chaos. On Veltar Prime, Council leader Zethmar received reports of the attacks with growing horror. "How is this possible? Our intelligence said the human fleet was completely destroyed, sir. We're receiving communications from resistance groups on occupied human worlds," his aide reported nervously. "They're rising up against our occupation forces. Captain Yang Seo-hyun led liberation forces on the mining world of Kepler 452b. Human colonists emerged from their dimensional shelters to join the fight against their Velthari occupiers. Citizens of Kepler 452b, Yang announced over the colony's communication system. The Ninth Fleet has returned. Humanity is free once again. Across dozens of worlds, similar scenes played out. Human resistance fighters attacked alien occupation, Forces while phase-capable ships provided support from dimensional space. The Confederation's worst nightmare was coming true. They were fighting an enemy that could appear anywhere, anytime without warning. An enemy they had underestimated completely. Admiral Jinwoo broadcast one final message to the stunned galaxy. The war you started is over. The question now is, whether you choose peace or total defeat, choose wisely. The greatest military reversal in galactic history was complete. Humanity had returned from the grave. 3 months after Operation Thunderclap, the Galactic Confederation Council met in emergency session on the neutral world of Harmony Station. The once proud council leader Zethmar sat with his forearms folded, his blue skin pale with defeat. Around him, representatives from dozens of species debated the impossible situation they faced. "We cannot continue this war," declared Admiral Korex of the Velthari Navy. "Our fleets have lost 40% of their strength. Our supply lines are constantly attacked by ships we cannot detect or counter." General Vexhai of the Threnody Alliance clicked her mandibles nervously. "Our own military advisors recommend immediate peace negotiations. Fighting an enemy that can appear anywhere in space is hopeless." Ambassador Yoon Tae-hyung sat quietly at the human delegation table, no longer pretending to mourn his species' supposed defeat. Beside him, Captain Yang Seo-hyun represented the liberated human colonies. "The humans have made their terms clear," Yoon said calmly. "Complete reorganization of galactic governance with equal representation for all species. No more domination by the traditional powers." "Unacceptable," shouted a Caraxian delegate. "The established order has maintained peace for centuries." "What peace?" Yang responded sharply. "You mean the peace where powerful species bullied smaller ones into submission? That era is over." Admiral Park Jin-woo entered the council chamber, flanked by his senior officers. The alien delegates stared at the man they had thought dead for over a year. His presence filled the room with quiet authority. "Honored delegates," Jinwoo began, his voice calm but firm. "Humanity comes to you not as conquerors, but as advocates for true galactic freedom. We have demonstrated our ability to wage war. Now we offer you the chance for genuine peace." Council leader Zethmar struggled to maintain his dignity. "Admiral, your survival was unexpected, but surely we can negotiate terms that preserve the existing power structure." "No," Jinwoo replied simply. "The old system failed. It led to this war. It must be replaced." Captain Lee Suman activated a holographic display showing the new galactic map. Human forces now controlled key strategic positions throughout Confederation space. "Every species will have an equal voice in the new government," Lee explained. "Decisions will be made by democratic vote, not by the threat of military force." Dr. Kim Hyun-woo stepped forward with a datapad containing technical specifications. "Humanity is prepared to share our dimensional phase shift technology with allied species. This will ensure that no single power can dominate others through military might alone." The alien delegates murmured among themselves. The offer was unprecedented. Phase shift technology would revolutionize galactic civilization, but it would also make traditional military conquest impossible. Engineer Oh Sung-min, the quiet genius who had developed the technology, addressed the council nervously. "The quantum displacement matrix can be adapted for peaceful purposes. Instant travel between star systems, dimensional storage for trade goods, communication across parallel space-time layers." "You're offering to share your greatest military advantage?" asked a delegate from the peaceful Aelarian collective. Military advantages mean nothing if you use them to create peace, Admiral Jinwoo replied. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in it freely. Lieutenant Commander Han Dong-yuk presented reports on liberated human colonies. Our worlds are already implementing the new democratic principles. Former enemies work alongside humans as equals. The negotiations continued for days. The alien delegates struggled to accept that their centuries of dominance were ending. But faced with an enemy they could not defeat, they had little choice. Vice. Admiral Nam Jisoo coordinated with President Moon Jae-hee on Earth through secure dimensional communication. The president had been elected to serve as the first chancellor of the proposed New Galactic Compact. The alien species are gradually accepting our terms, Nam reported. They realize that cooperation is better than destruction. Commander Choi. Minji monitored communications across the galaxy. Intelligence reports show that smaller species are enthusiastic about the new system. They've been waiting centuries for freedom from the major powers. Dr. Bae Yoonji documented the historic negotiations in her medical log. Personal observation. Witnessing the birth of true galactic democracy. The aliens are learning that humans fight not for conquest, but for principles. After 2 weeks of negotiations, the New Galactic Compact was signed. Every species, no matter how small or powerful, would have equal representation in the new government. Military forces would be limited and regulated to prevent future wars of conquest. Admiral Jinwoo stood before the assembled delegates as they signed the historic document. Today, we begin a new era. An era where might does not make right, where all species can pursue their destinies among the stars. The signing ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. On Earth, crowds celebrated in the streets. On human colonies, people emerged from their hiding places to rebuild their worlds. On alien worlds, citizens who had lived under authoritarian rule for generations tasted freedom for the first time. Rear Admiral Kong Woo-jin established the New Galactic Defense Force, a joint military organization with representatives from every species. Our mission is protection, not conquest, he announced to the mixed crews of human and alien officers. Engineer O's dimensional technology revolutionized galactic civilization almost overnight. Trade that once took months now happened instantly, through phase-shift cargo vessels. Communication across the galaxy became as easy as talking to someone in the next room. The former fleet commander Kethvar, now serving as a military advisor to the new government, worked alongside Admiral Jinwoo to design defense strategies that no single species could abuse. I underestimated humans completely, Kethvar admitted to Jinwoo during a planning session. You fight with your minds, not just your weapons. We fight for our beliefs, Jinwoo replied. That makes us dangerous to tyrants and valuable to those who seek freedom. Years passed. The New Galactic Compact prospered under President Moon's leadership. Trade flourished between species that had once been enemies. Scientific cooperation led to amazing discoveries. Arts and culture spread freely across dimensional networks. Admiral Jinwoo eventually retired to a quiet colony world, but his legend lived on. The Ninth Fleet continued to patrol the galaxy, now as protectors of the Compact rather than instruments of war. Captain Lee Suman became the new admiral of the fleet, commanding ships crewed by humans and aliens working together as equals. The Ninth Fleet's mission continues, she announced at her promotion ceremony. We remain the guardians of freedom among the stars. Dr. Kim Hyun-woo established the Galactic Science Institute, where researchers from every species work together to unlock the mysteries of the universe. His dimensional research opened pathways to exploration beyond their own galaxy. On his retirement ceremony, Admiral Jin-woo was asked by a young reporter about the secret to humanity's success. He smiled and looked up at the stars visible through the dome of the ceremony hall. "The universe is vast and full of wonders," he said thoughtfully, "but it's also full of bullies who mistake kindness for weakness. Sometimes you have to teach them the difference." The reporter pressed for more details. "But how did you know your plan would work?" "Because I understood something about humans that our enemies didn't," Jin-woo replied. "When you push us to the edge, we don't break. We evolve." The Ninth Fleet's motto, inscribed on every phase-capable vessel in the galaxy, served as both promise and warning to future generations. "We are here. We will always be here, invisible until we choose to be seen. In the end, humanity's greatest." Victory wasn't disappearing from the galaxy's sight. It was reappearing exactly where and when they chose to be seen, bringing with them a gift more valuable than any weapon: the idea that all beings deserve to be free. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had intended from the beginning.